Welcome to Smart Wealth with Joshua.
Your daily stock analysis and catalysts talk. Today we're looking at Novo Nordisk.
If you find our talks useful, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting underneath. So let's get right into it. We have to address the elephant in the room immediately, or I guess I should say, the very large, very expensive elephant that just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
We are talking about the massive stock drop after the Q4 2025 earnings report on February 5th.
It was ugly. There is no sugarcoating it. We saw a drop of roughly 20% basically right after the report.
That is just huge for a company of this size. I mean,
Yeah.
we aren't talking about some volatile penny stock here.
Yeah.
This was Europe's most valuable company.
It was, yeah.
Losing a fifth of its value in, what, a day?
Yeah.
It feels catastrophic.
It is. In fact, it's the worst sell-off for the company we've seen in all of 2025 and, well, into early 2026.
And if you look at the yearly chart,
It's even worse. Shares are down nearly 50% from their all-time highs. It's just been a brutal stretch for shareholders who are, used to the stock only going in one direction.
up.
Up.
So the question on everyone's mind right now, is the sky falling? Is the obesity gold rush over? Or is this just a massive, massive overreaction from an anxious market? Because looking at the chart, it feels like the party's over.
It definitely feels that way if you're looking at your portfolio app today, but if you actually look at the data, this seems a lot more like a blessing in disguise.
A blessing in disguise.
I would even call it a capitulation low.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Capitulation. That's a heavy word. What does that actually mean? It sounds like they're surrendering.
Hey, it kind of is. Capitulation is just trader speak for everyone who wanted to sell has finally puked up their shares.
Yeah.
It's that moment of maximum pessimism,
Where the last bull just gives up.
Exactly. The last bullish investor finally gives up and sells. And usually that point of exhaustion, that's the bottom. The market is panicking over the guidance for 2026, which we'll get to, but they are completely ignoring that the underlying engine, the obesity business, is running hotter than ever.
Okay, let's unpack this. The headlines are scary, but you're saying the engine is fine. So let's look at the numbers. Q4 2025. What happened? Why did the market freak out?
So here's the bad news first, which is what the headlines latched onto. Total diabetes and obesity care sales came in at 73.8 billion Danish krone.
Okay.
And that was actually down 2% year over year.
Down for a massive growth stock like this. Okay, that explains the panic. If you aren't growing, you're dying in this market.
Right. When you are priced for absolute perfection, down is a dirty word, but you have to peel back the onion here.
Okay.
While the total segment was down slightly, that includes some of their older diabetes drugs that are facing, headwinds. If you look at just the obesity care division, it rose 11% to 22.45 billion krone.
Okay, so the legacy stuff dragged it down, but the weight loss side, the part everyone actually cares about, is still growing.
Still growing strong. And the star player, Wegovy, sales hit 21.86 billion krone in the quarter. That is up 17% just in Q4 alone.
17% growth in a single quarter is not bad. And if we zoom out to the full year, 2025, the trend looks even better, doesn't it?
Much better. For the full year, obesity sales jumped 31%. And Wegovy specifically, it surged 134% year on year.
134%.
Yeah.
That's massive. So this whole narrative that demand is drying up doesn't really hold water when you see triple-digit growth for the year. Sounds like people are still lining up for this stuff.
They are. The demand is not the issue. And it isn't just the weight loss drugs either. There was a surprising bright spot in the diabetes portfolio. Their fast-acting insulin, Fiasp, saw revenue up 154%.
Wow. I honestly kind of forgot they even made insulin. With all the hype around Wegovy, you forget their roots. So they aren't just a one-trick pony.
Far from it. But let's be real, the market does not care about insulin right now. The market cares about future growth. And the future, specifically the guidance for 2026, is what caused this crash.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about that. Management came out and predicted a decline. It feels like they're shooting themselves in the foot. What exactly did they say?
This is the absolute crux of the issue. Management came out and said they expect adjusted 2026 sales and operating profit to decline by 5% to 13% at constant exchange rates.
Okay, hang on. Constant exchange rates. I hear that term a lot. Is that just some accounting magic, or does it actually matter?
It matters a lot because it strips out the noise of currency fluctuations. So they are telling us, forget the currency shifts, the actual business performance is going to drop.
Ouch. Predicting a double-digit decline in profit, that's kryptonite for investors. So why is this happening? What's going on in 2026?
It's a perfect storm of three things. First, and this is the big one, U.S. pricing pressures. We are seeing significant gross-to-net adjustments.
Gross to net. Okay, break that down for us. Simple terms.
Okay, think of it like a toll road. Novo sets a list price for Wegovy. Let's say it's $1,000. That's the gross price.
Got it.
But to get on the highway, which is the insurance plan, they have to pay a toll to gatekeepers, the pharmacy benefit managers.
The classic middleman.
The classic middleman. So to keep Wegovy on the list so patients can get it, Novo has to pay a huge rebate back to the insurer. So even though the sticker price is $1,000, after paying the toll, Novo might only pocket $500 or $600. That's the net price.
And the toll is getting more expensive.
Much more expensive. So
Yeah.
that's one. The second factor is patent expirations on older drugs. And third, there's competition from compounded versions of semaglutide.
Right, the compounding pharmacies. I see those ads everywhere. Get semaglutide for $200, no insurance. That has to be eating into their lunch.
It is eating into their lunch, their dinner, and their dessert. It's creating a lot of noise. Because Wegovy was officially listed as in shortage, these compounding pharmacies were legally allowed to make their own copycat versions.
Wait, it's legal?
It's a loophole. When a drug is in shortage, the FDA allows pharmacies to compound a version to meet demand. But these aren't the official Novo pens. They are mixing the ingredients themselves.
That seems risky.
That's the argument Novo is making. But for the consumer, the price difference is just so massive.
They're willing to take the risk.
Yeah, but here's the aha moment in all of this. You have to look at how management is framing this. They're calling 2026 a strategic reset.
A reset? That sounds like corporate speak for we messed up.
Usually, yes. But in this case, think about it strategically. By lowering the bar so much for 2026, they are creating a very, very low base for the future.
The old under-promise and over-deliver setup.
Precisely. If they set the bar low now, any good news looks like a huge beat. But more importantly, the whole growth story is shifting. For years, the story was U.S. pricing power. High margins, high prices. That era is ending. The new story is international volume.
So instead of charging a fortune to a few people in the U.S., they're going to sell it to millions of people everywhere else.
Yeah.
Like the Walmart model. Lower price, massive volume.
That is the pivot. The strategy is now about efficiency and a massive global rollout to offset those lower prices in the U.S. They're trading margin for mass adoption. They're rolling out in Europe, in Asia, in markets where this is just starting to be treated medically.
Which makes sense long term. There are a lot more people outside the U.S. than inside it. But, okay, let's talk money. For the wealth builders listening, the stock is down, guidance is bad. Is the company going broke? What are they doing with their cash?
Far from it. This is what separates a speculative stock from a pharma giant. Their balance sheet is a fortress. Even with the stock down, they are proposing a 2025 dividend payable in March 2026.
So you get paid to wait. I like that.
And they announced a significant share buyback program, up to 15 billion Danish krone for 2026.
Okay, let's pause on that. A 15 billion buyback. What does that actually signal to us?
It is the ultimate vote of confidence. When a company buys its own stock, especially after a drop like this, they're telling you, we think the market is dead wrong. We think our stock is cheap.
Right. They're buying while everyone else is panic selling. That usually puts a floor under the price.
And remember, they're doing this while still spending heavily. They're pouring money into R&D, commercial investments, and even acquisitions like that Akero Therapeutics deal we've heard chatter about.
So their free cash flow is strong enough to do all that.
It's strong enough to fund the pipeline, maybe buy a company, and pay shareholders. That is financial health.
You just mentioned Akero Therapeutics. What is that? I haven't heard of them.
Akero is a biotech focused on MS.
MS. Like the TV show.
No. It stands for Metabolic Dysfunction-Associated Steatohepatitis. It used to be called NASH. Basically, it's fatty liver disease.
Okay, fatty liver. Why does an obesity drug company care about liver disease?
Because they go hand in hand. Obesity is the leading driver of fatty liver disease. So if you have a drug that treats obesity and you pair it with a drug that repairs the liver, you have a massive market.
A synergy.
Exactly. And Akero has one of the most promising drugs for this. If Novo acquires them, it cements their dominance not just in weight loss, but in overall metabolic health.
Yep, that makes sense. But they aren't the only game in town anymore. We have to talk about the competition, specifically Eli Lilly. Their stock has been flying while Novo is struggling. Why not just jump ship?
It's tempting. Lilly's a fierce competitor, especially in the U.S. with Zepbound. But you have to understand Novo's moat.
Okay, define the moat. What protects them?
First, intellectual property. They own the IP on GLP-1 agonists like semaglutide. That's the foundation. Second, and this is important, high switching costs.
Switching costs. Can't I just switch to the other guy's drug?
Technically, yes. But medically, patients who are on Wegovy and seeing results are very hesitant to rock the boat. If it's working, you don't mess with it. Doctors are also creatures of habit. That stickiness is very real.
And what about that international versus domestic dynamic? Is Lilly as big globally?
And this is where Novo has the edge. Eli Lilly is incredibly strong in the U.S., but Novo Nordisk has a massive head start in international infrastructure. That international expansion is the key hedge. If the U.S. market turns into a brutal price war, Novo has the rest of the world.
So Lilly wins the sprint in the U.S., but Novo could win the marathon globally.
That is the bet.
Okay, let's look at the market sentiment, it seems. Well, polarized is putting it mildly.
It's a total tug of war. You'll get whiplash reading the financial news right now.
Give me the headlines. What's the bear case saying?
On the bear side, you've got analysts saying plenty of value in avoiding this stock. They're just fixated on the falling margins and that 2026 guidance drop.
Stay away until the dust settles.
Exactly.
And the bulls.
Oh, the bulls are saying the sell-off is a blessing in disguise. They see this as a game of price vs volume. They argue the market is pricing in a disaster that just won't happen.
It's interesting because a 20% drop in a blue chip company like this, that implies oversold conditions, right? From a technical standpoint.
It does. We're hitting what's called psychological support. When a stock gets hammered this hard, this fast, the sellers eventually run out of ammo. The capitulation we talked about, that creates a floor.
So we have a beaten down stock, solid company, divided market. What turns the ship around? If I buy today, what am I waiting for in the next, say, 3 to 6 months? What are the catalysts?
There's a very clear catalyst calendar. First up, earnings. Q1 2026 earnings will come out in May.
And what are we looking for there? Just beating the low bar, they said.
Pretty much. The market wants to see if that reset guidance is holding. If they come out and say, hey, the decline isn't as bad as we thought, or international volume is growing faster than expected, the stock could rip higher.
Okay, May's the check-in. What else?
The pipeline. This is critical. We need to watch for news on oral Wegovy.
Okay, talk to me about this. A pill instead of a shot. That sounds like the holy grail.
It is the holy grail. I mean, right now you have to keep these drugs in the fridge. You have needles. A pill changes the logistics entirely. But it's scientifically brutal to pull off.
Why is it so hard? We have pills for everything.
Because Wegovy is a peptide, a protein chain. If you swallow a protein, what does your stomach do?
It digests it like food.
Exactly. Your stomach acid destroys it. Novo has a special technology that helps the drug sneak through the stomach wall before it gets digested. If they can manufacture this at scale, and that's a huge if, they don't just win the market, they expand it by 10 times.
Because of all the people who hate needles.
Millions of them. And we're also watching for higher doses too, right? The 7.2 milligram dose, that's key for competing on efficacy against Lilly's Zepbound.
And then there's the macro factor, interest rates, that kind of thing.
Definitely. As rates stabilize, you often see a rotation back into defensive sectors like pharma. It could catch a tailwind from that.
All right, I'm feeling better about this, but let's play devil's advocate. The bear case.
Yeah.
What could go seriously wrong?
3 things. First, the 2026 decline. They guided for down 5-13%. What if it's down 20%? If U.S. pricing pressure gets even worse, that guidance could turn out to be optimistic.
And if they miss their own lowered guidance, the stock gets crushed again.
Crushed. Second, margin compression. They are spending a fortune on R&D for that oral pill. If those investments don't pay off, margins get squeezed from both sides, lower prices and higher costs.
Classic squeeze.
And third, the compounding issue. If the shortage ends, that legal loophole closes. But if regulators don't crack down or the generics find a new loophole, it creates a permanent leak in their bucket.
It forces them to lower prices even more.
Okay.
That's a real risk. All right, we've looked at the good, the bad, the ugly. It is time for the verdict. Final score.
I am giving this a bullish score of 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Solid, but cautious. Why not an 8 or a 9?
Because 2026 is going to be messy. The headlines will probably be bad for a little while. But here's the thesis. Novo Nordisk's dominance in obesity is enduring. Wegovy grew 134% last year. You just can't fake that kind of demand. The 2026 reset is painful, yes, but it's a necessary transition from a high-price U.S. model to a high-volume global one.
Short-term pain for long-term gain.
That's it. The 20% sell-off offers a capitulated entry point. You're buying a premium asset at a discount because everyone is scared of a transition year. The target horizon here is a multi-year hold. You're holding into 2027 for that pipeline inflection.
So patience pays dividends, literally and figuratively.
Precisely.
I love it. It's a compelling case. Before we wrap up, here's a thought to leave you with. If the market is panicking over a reset year, are they missing the forest for the trees? Maybe the real story isn't the price of the drug in 2026, but the sheer volume of patients globally who haven't even started treatment yet. We're talking hundreds of millions of people. If the price comes down, doesn't the addressable market just get that much bigger? Something to think about.
It certainly does. The volume story has barely even started.
That is all for today. Thanks for tuning in to Smart Wealth with Joshua. We will see you tomorrow.